I didn't want to stop getting high. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I never wanted to stop. I wanted the bad shit to stop. I wanted all the bad things to stop happening. I wanted to stop getting arrested. I wanted to stop going to jail. I wanted to stop being court ordered to programs and driving around with warrants. I wanted the bad shit to stop happening. I just didn't want to stop getting high. So I was willing to put up with the bad shit because I knew it was part of getting high and it was a part of my junkie life. Hi. The fact that I couldn't put together more than 11 days clean time throughout my entire 17-year heroin addiction. And the other day, I had my 6-year anniversary. Is just fucking wild. Bananas. Wild. So in this video, I figured why the hell not? In light of my 6-year anniversary that I got on November 9th, take a little trip down memory lane and talk about those 11 days that I was miraculously able to string together throughout my 17-year addiction, what the circumstances were behind it. And also, I had a drug dream literally the night before, the night of the 8th. I woke up on the 9th on the day of my 6-year anniversary with a drug dream fresh on the brain. So I'm going to talk about that because it was just so fitting, so fitting. So let's get into it. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the shit show. Who the hell am I? If you're new here, I'm Angie and I was a junkie for a long freaking time in my life. And this channel, I share my story, talk about personal experiences, how I did it, life, recovery, mindset, all the good stuff. You know, I say this all the time that I was only able to put together 11 days throughout 17 years of heroin addiction. And of course, that doesn't count jail, but it's like so much easier to stay clean in jail, I feel like. And I was never really in for any long bids, so I don't really count that. I don't count that. And I definitely don't count the jail time because the only thing I thought about the entire time while I was there was getting out and getting high. And that's exactly what I always, always did. But the 11 days that I was able to string together, it must have been before 2010 because in 2010 I got my trafficking charge and I was in and out of programs. So I think it must have been 2009. It must have been before 2010. But I was court ordered to treatment, of course, like I always fucking was. And I went to detox. And I don't even remember because my brain is mush what detox I went to. But directly from detox, I went to a holding or like an inpatient 28-day program. Now, these were all state run, free bed places. And I would never, ever sleep. Like I would be up all night kicking, withdrawing, not sleeping anytime I would go to detox. So I fucking hated going to detox and I hated going to treatment. But this particular time, I was, of course, court ordered. And of course, I didn't want to be there. And the only thing I was thinking about was leaving and getting high. I ended up in this program, which was like the only place that had an available bed because I had Medicaid. This particular program was located on like the most dangerous street in Boston, like full stop, like most gang violence, the most shootings, the most murders, the most all the things happened on this street. But those things never scared me. It never bothered me. The danger of the lifestyle I was living, I don't know, it just never scared me. Like being in the hood, being around dangerous situations, death never scared me. I honestly felt at home in those environments. And even to this day, I still feel most at home in like the hood or the ghetto or the projects. Like I feel so out of place when I'm around people who, let's say, the opposite of that, right? Who are more like refined or have a shit ton of money. Anyways, that I digress. So I ended up in this program, which was an NA program. Was it an AA? It was a 12-step program, but it was majority drug addicts, right? Because it was in the ghetto. It was a triple decker house, which is all around Boston. So the basement was like the kitchen. The first floor was like the offices and the staff and the men, because it was co-ed. It was a co-ed program. The second floor were the females. And at night they would lock the doors. So, there was no mingling. But I had my own room, which was great. And I remember the first or second night that I was there, There was a shooting right across the street, and there were helicopters flying so low, like flashing the spotlight right on the house. I mean, I wasn't sleeping anyways, but it was kind of exciting, not gonna lie, kind of exciting. So the first couple days, usually when you go to a holding program, or even the whole 28 days, but this one in particular, it was like the first week, I think, you couldn't leave the program. You had to stay in the house. So anything you needed or whatever, people would go to meetings. But when it came time for me to be able to leave the program, literally the only thing I kept thinking about all day, all night, every second of every day was how I could get away with getting high in this fucking program. And after only a few days in this program, and still being dope sick, still being so sick and not sleeping, I thought it was a great idea. And I thought it would help me and my cravings to just start injecting water. I don't remember if I went to the pharmacy and bought a bag of needles, or if I just so happened. No, I must not. I couldn't have had a needle in my belongings, because they go through your belongings usually when you get admitted and all the things. So I must have stopped at the CVS or the Walgreens and gotten a bag of fresh needles. And I started injecting water, thinking that that was going to help me feel better, thinking that that was going to ease. Because you know what? A lot of people don't talk about the needle addiction, because that shit is real. Or the way that you use a substance becomes addicting in and of itself. And if you use needles, if you graduate to using needles, that addiction is so fucking real. So I thought that by shooting water, I would ease that craving to use a needle, and that I would somehow trick my brain into feeling better. I don't know. Placebo effect, I guess. Performing my own little experiment. Well, shocker, shocker, that didn't work very well. And after just a couple of days, I remember I was standing in the living room. There was like a payphone. I don't even know. Do they even have payphones anymore? This must have been before 2010, because this was, I mean, you couldn't have I don't even know what kind of cell phone I had. I probably had, was this even before fucking iPhone? I don't know. I'm old. Okay. And I was standing in the living room, in little tiny, like little kitchen slash living room that we had on the women's floor. And there was a payphone like right next to the TV. And I finally just gave in and called my dude from the payphone. And wouldn't you know, as soon as he found out where I was, he hung up on me. I mean, not even my dope man wanted to come to the street. Like that's how that's how dangerous it was. But once I picked up that phone and once I made the decision to call him, I mean, all bets were off. I had already relapsed. I had already relapsed in my brain. So I went to the staff probably the next day and asked if I could go to the pharmacy or go to the store. Actually, no. I asked if I could go to the corner store, which was literally on the corner. But in my brain, I was beelining it to the pharmacy to get a bag of needles and to call my dude and meet my dude. So I was like, how can I pull this off? Because they think I'm just going to the corner store to get a Snickers or like some snack, right? But what I was really doing was getting on the bus. I mean, this was a whole thing. Getting on the bus, taking the bus to the pharmacy, buying needles, and meeting my dude. So, how was I going to justify that length of time, it taking probably 30 minutes, when literally the walk to and from the store was probably 10? I really didn't care, because all I wanted to do was get high. So, I did all that, met my dude, went to the pharmacy, got all that I needed to get, went back to the house, blamed something on something. I'm sure that they knew. I'm sure they knew. Made sure to come back with like a Snickers or something for someone else. Then went straight up to the bathroom to get high. And I remember it was so funny, because I came out of the bathroom and I was sitting on the couch, and a few of us were watching TV. And the way I was sitting on the couch, right? I look over to my arm and I see these indentations on my arm from the belt that I used in the bathroom to tie off. I had like indentations all around, and I'm like, oh fuck, I hope nobody saw these, right? I hope. I was like instantly like covered my arm. I literally think I stayed in the program another maybe 24 hours, and then I left AMA. Knowing full well I had warrants and I was probably going to go back to jail, but I just didn't care. And that was the 11 days that I was able to string together. That was it. I left that program that day with full intentions. I had no place to go. I don't even think I had a car. I don't remember. The only thing I cared about was getting high. And I didn't think about anything else or what I was going to do after that. I did that. I didn't care. And so that was before 2010, probably around 2009, which meant that literally 10 years after that, I just continued getting high and wasn't able to put together. Really didn't try though. I really didn't try. I didn't want to stop getting high. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I never wanted to stop. I wanted the bad shit to stop. I wanted all the bad things to stop happening. I wanted to stop getting arrested. I wanted to stop going to jail. I wanted to stop being court ordered to programs and driving around with warrants. I wanted the bad shit to stop happening. I just didn't want to stop getting high. So I was willing to put up with the bad shit because I knew it was part of getting high and it was a part of my junkie life. So fast forward 10 years and I was finally able to walk away. November 9th, 2019, 6 years ago, 6 fucking years ago, bro, is just crazy to me. Crazy. So the night before the 9th, on the 8th, I had this lovely drug dream and I woke up and kind of laughed to myself because how fitting. So this drug dream that I had the night of the 8th, the night before my anniversary. And you know what I should add, I'm not one to count. I've never counted days. I've never counted days. I'm not in a 12-step program right now, although I do know that they work and I was in AA 20 years ago, right? And it's worked for a lot of people that I know, a lot of junkies that I know. It worked for me 20 years ago, but where I'm at, where I'm located in the world, there's just no recovery community here. There's no meetings. So I had to figure it out on my own, which I honestly didn't think was possible because in my brain, I was kind of like conditioned to believe that the only thing that heals you are the 12 steps and like meetings. Like I was conditioned and and I know that it works, but I also know now today, sitting here in front of you, just celebrating my 6 years, I know that there are other ways. So I've never been one to count time. The only thing I do count and the only thing I do know is the last day that I used dope was November 9th, 2019. And what happened was it was about 2 months after my dad passed. I was returning to Mexico. I had to come back to Mexico. I had nowhere to go in the States. I lost absolutely everything. And luckily, somebody bought me a ticket to come back to Mexico because I had stuff here. I had stuff. All I had was a couple bags of clothes, but that was all I had at this point, at that moment in time. And so the night of the 8th, back in 2019, I didn't sleep because I was scheduled to be on a flight first thing that morning on the 9th. And so I was up out of bed before the sun came up. I didn't sleep. I just tried to get as high as possible. And that particular day, I didn't know that that was going to be my last time getting high. Like I had full intentions of like continuing. I didn't know how. Like I didn't at one point ever think about my future. I didn't think about what I was going to do in the future at all. So I woke up that morning or got out of bed or whatever and finished packing my things and I did the last of my dope and I got as high as fucking possible. And I went and I boarded the plane and I came back to Mexico and I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I have to say that I wanted to run away from the situation that I was in where my dad had just died and I was literally, my life was crashing. Like I was in the middle of losing absolutely everything I've ever had in my entire life. And all I wanted to do was run away from that. So I really had no intentions of stopping getting high. So I didn't know that that was going to be the last time. So little did I know though, that just 3 weeks later, my mom was going to die. And my life was going to get that much worse, so much worse, so much fucking worse, which says a lot considering where I come from. But that was the last day, the last morning I got high on heroin. And I had no intentions of stopping like the Klonopins or the benzos I was taking or the other pills I was taking. And I did still drink and use Coke when I came back to Mexico. So like My date of heroin is November 9th. I'm not completely sure what my dates are for booze and other things. Because again, all I wanted to do was escape everything that I was feeling and everything that I was going through. So I reached for and used every single thing that I could get my hands on for a long time until I just couldn't do it anymore. And then in 2020, beginning of 2021 is when I started to heal. So sometime in the beginning of 2021, I think, is when I stopped using all of it. So the night of November 8th, just a few days ago, the night before my 6 years, I had this drug dream. And I don't know if I was in the detox or how I got into this detox. I don't know if I must have had a habit because I was in this fucking detox and it was a locked facility. Okay. And there was a kid that I used to get high with all the time, that I got high with my entire addiction, that was in my dream. And he had dope on him. And I remember thinking, well, I'm not going to use it because I don't have any needles. And then he also had a needle on him. But we were both in this locked facility, in this locked program, detox, whatever it was. And I spent a lot of time, dedicated my time thinking of how I was going to break myself out of this program so that I could get high. I don't know why I didn't try to get high in the program like I did so many times before, but for some reason I was thinking that I had to break myself out in order to get high. Oops. And then I didn't really think about anything else other than that. So I broke myself out of the program somehow and then didn't, like I just talked about, didn't think about what was going to happen after that because I found myself thinking, how the fuck am I going to get back? For some reason, I thought that I could break back in. Like I wanted to go back because I knew if I just disappeared, then I was going to go back to jail. So I was trying to break back in. I don't even think I got high. Isn't it funny how you just never get high in drug dreams? But I don't think I even used anything. But I was trying to break back into this program. And then, of course, I mean, it was like this big industrial hospital looking building. And there were like fences and barbed wire. And I don't know how, I don't think I successfully broke back in before we got caught. They lined us up. They like put us in front of all the other people and like like put us on display, like almost like a humiliation type thing in order to think about what they were going to do to punish us. And I remember thinking something like, thank God I look like a good girl, or something. I was relying on something to get me out of going back to jail. And I remember thinking that the kid I was with was fucked. The kid I was with was fucked. But I was somehow holding on to something that was going to get me out of this situation. And then I think I woke up. And when I woke up, it was my 6 year day anniversary, which is crazy. It's so fitting. If you would have told me 6 years ago, I mean, just a little over 6 years ago, I was so fucking miserable. I wanted to end my life. And I was Googling ways to end my life. Like, I didn't think I could do it properly. I didn't think I could be successful ending my own life. Like, I didn't think that I could physically hurt myself like in an extreme way. So I was Googling like medications I could take. And then I remember I'd get so aggravated because like the I don't know if I could say the word on YouTube, the S word. The hotlines kept like popping up on Google. Like, if you need help, call this hotline. If you need help, call this hotline, mental health hotlines. And I remember getting so aggravated because I was like, well, I must be able to go to the pharmacy and get some sort of medication that I could take like the whole bottle of. So I was Googling like what medications. I think I tried actually. Wow, I just remembered that. I just remembered that. But I obviously woke up. I thought that if I had tried to drastically, harm myself, that I wouldn't be successful and that I would somehow be like paralyzed and even more miserable for the rest of my life. Like, I sincerely thought that my destiny was to struggle and to suffer and be miserable. And then I somehow uncovered after, in the beginning of healing and changing my mindset and changing my thinking, which is how I drastically changed my life. Like I didn't know it was going to change my life so much. I'm so grateful that it did. It was an added bonus, trust me. But in the beginning I remember thinking and realizing, I remember the moment I realized that I genuinely thought that I didn't deserve not to suffer. Like all the shit that I did some really bad stuff. Like while my dad was dying, I stole from him. I essentially abandoned my mom. I really just wasn't capable of showing up for pretty much anybody, especially my family. And as a result, I lost them. And neither of my parents got to see me in recovery. They died before I got my shit together. And I have to live with that. And that sucks. So I was consumed all the time with this guilt and this shame, thinking that that was what I deserved. Like I deserved to suffer the rest of my life with this guilt and shame because of the dirt bag that I had become, because of what I did. And the moment I realized that I actually thought that, because when I kind of had my moment of clarity and I woke up to this realization that I was choosing to stay miserable because I thought I deserved it. Because I thought that that was what my life was supposed to look like after doing all the shit that I did. I thought that I was supposed to suffer and be miserable and hate my life and be depressed and want to end it all every minute of every day, like I thought I deserved to feel that way. And when I realized that is when I realized that I was choosing to stay miserable. And if I could somehow change that thinking, then I could just not be miserable anymore. And let me tell you, in the beginning, I had no idea. I had no idea how the work that I did and changing my mindset and changing my negativity, how it was going to impact my life, how it was going to absolutely change my entire fucking life. And I am so grateful. And I firmly believe, and I talk about this all the time, that all that negativity and all that traumatic shit had to happen. I believe today that in some way, shape, or form, my parents sacrificed themselves because they knew that that was really the only thing that was going to wake me up. Because I had gone through all the worst case scenarios. My life is full of worst case scenarios. I mean, I have a 10 plus page criminal record. I'm a felon a million times over. I've almost lost limbs. I've had dozens of infections. I've overdosed multiple times, in and out of jails, detoxes, dozens of detoxes, hospitals, homelessness. And none of that ever made me think about changing my fucking story. Ever. Until I was faced with so much pain after losing both of my parents just 3 months apart. That was the pain that finally brought me to that moment of clarity. And I am forever grateful for that. I am literally grateful for that. I would do anything to have my parents back, of course, but I am grateful for that fucking pain. So listen, I'm here and I share my story online because I know I've been through shit, bro. Like I've been through a lot. And for the person that's watching this who is as miserable as I was and thinks that they're never going to find joy or they're never going to be able to live a day without feeling miserable and hating their life, I am your proof. Like, I know that I've been through it. Like, I know that I've been through it. So I'm pretty confident that I can handle whatever the fuck comes my way these days. So listen, if you're out there and you feel miserable and you have no hope, listen, even if you don't feel like you have hope, there's always hope. There's always hope. So with that, I think that's all I have to say for today. But wait, like and subscribe. Okay, that's all. I love you. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.